People don't fall in love with you by accident. They don't get attached to your presence because of luck, timing, or coincidence. There are only two reasons people fall deeply, emotionally, and sometimes uncontrollably in love with you. And both reasons exist far beneath what most people ever pay attention to. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And he was right. People don't fall in love with who you pretend to be. They fall in love with the reaction you create inside them. But here's the part most people never realize. Love is not about who you are. Love is about who they become when they're with you. Let that settle for a moment. Because if you understand that, you understand everything. We live in a world where people chase beauty, money, status, perfection. But none of these create true love. None of these create emotional attachment. None of these create the kind of bond the soul remembers. What people truly fall in love with, what actually pulls them toward you like gravity, lives in your shadow, your energy, your presence, your emotional temperature, and the unconscious signals you send without even knowing it. This is why some people fall for you instantly, and others never see you at all. Because love, real love, matches you on the level of the subconscious. Before we get into the two reasons, we need to understand something deeper. People don't see you as you are. They see you as a mirror for their own emotional needs. Someone sees your calmness and calls it love. Someone else sees your strength and calls it safety. Another person sees your silence and calls it mystery. But you're just being yourself. This is why love feels unpredictable. This is why attraction feels magical. And this is why the same version of you can be ignored by one person, while another would cross oceans for your attention. It has nothing to do with logic. It has everything to do with inner resonance. Because love is an echo, two souls recognizing each other from across the noise of the world. Stoic philosophy teaches us that what you control is internal. What you cannot control is external. Love is the same. You cannot control who loves you. You cannot control who leaves you. You cannot control who sees your worth, but you can control the version of yourself you bring into the world. And that version, your clarity, your emotional discipline, your presence, determines the quality of people who fall for you. Because love is not an accident, it is a reflection. When you evolve, the kind of people who are drawn to you evolve too. But no matter your personality, no matter your background, no matter your appearance, every single person who has ever loved you, quietly or loudly, deeply or temporarily, fell for you because of only two reasons. Not 10, not 5, not a combination of random traits, just two. And these two reasons shape how people bond, how they attach, how they desire, and how they remember you. These reasons decide why someone can't stop thinking about you, why your presence feels familiar, why certain people crave your energy, why some relationships feel destined, why someone feels like they've known you forever. And understanding these reasons doesn't just make you magnetic. It makes you conscious. It makes you powerful. It makes you emotionally untouchable. Because the truth is, people do not fall in love with you. They fall in love with the version of themselves awakened by you. This is the doorway into Jung's psychology, the place where shadows, archetypes, and emotional projection live. And the deeper we go, the more you'll understand why people get attached to you, why they fear losing you, why they chase you even when you're silent, and why some people will always come back to you, no matter how far they run. So let's walk into the psychology together. Let's break down the two forces people unconsciously look for, the two emotional triggers that create connection, desire, loyalty, and love. Not the fairy tale version, not the Hollywood version, the real, unfiltered psychological truth, because once you understand these two reasons, you'll never see yourself or your relationships the same way again. This is where your self-awareness begins. This is where your emotional power grows. And this is where you learn the truth Carl Jung knew all along. People fall in love with the reflection of their own soul inside you. And now, let's talk about the first reason, the first force, The first psychological truth behind why people fall in love with you, even when they can't explain it. Let's begin. 1. They fall in love with the version of themselves they see through you. Sometimes someone looks at you, and for a moment, they see themselves reflected back. But not the broken version, not the insecure version, not the wounded child they've been running from. No, they see the person they wish they could be. You become a mirror, a light, a doorway into the self they're trying to access. You listen differently. You speak differently. You hold a kind of emotional gravity they can sense even before they understand it. You become the place where they feel more intelligent, more alive, more significant. They fall in love, not with you, but with the part of themselves that only wakes up when you're near. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." People fall in love with you because being around you transforms something inside them. You trigger an evolution they had been avoiding. They don't love you because of your features. They love you because you make them feel like their life has features. You make them feel heard, seen, awake. You make them feel like their story matters, like their emotions are finally naming themselves, like their inner voice is learning to speak with clarity. But this kind of love comes with a question, one most people avoid. Do they love me? Or do they love who they are when they're with me? It's subtle, it's intoxicating, it's dangerous, because if they ever stop feeling like that version of themselves, their love begins to fade. Not because of you, but because they lost access to the part of themselves they were borrowing from your presence. And this is where many people discover a painful truth. Some people don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the permission you give them to become someone else. They fall in love with the part of themselves they are trying to heal through you. There is another kind of love, more mysterious, more magnetic, more unconscious. The love that is born from wound matching. You carry something in your energy, a memory, a softness, a resilience, a silence, a pain you've survived, a tenderness you don't talk about, and someone else feels it. Not consciously, not logically, but biologically, emotionally, instinctively. Your presence stirs something in their inner world. A wound they haven't healed, a story they haven't finished, a need they never learned how to name. You become familiar to them, even if you've just met, like home, like danger, like destiny. Because their nervous system is not falling in love with your body, it is falling in love with your pattern, your way of speaking, your way of withdrawing, your quiet strength, your emotional predictability, your emotional unpredictability. Whatever they needed in childhood, or whatever they lacked, you resemble it. Nietzsche once wrote, "No one can build you the bridge on which you, and only you, must cross the river of life." Yet people try. They try to cross their river by using you as the bridge. They try to heal through you, grow through you, rewrite their childhood through you.
But here's the truth.
People don't fall in love with you because you are perfect. They fall in love with you because your emotional energy inputs directly into their nervous system, like a key unlocking a locked door. Sometimes your presence feels like repair. Sometimes it feels like redemption. Sometimes it feels like rescue. But what they're really falling in love with is the unfinished part of themselves that believes you might be the one who can finally bring peace to their chaos. Love isn't random. Attraction isn't magic. Connection isn't fate. It's psychology. It's projection. It's pattern recognition. People fall in love with you, either because they want to become something through you, or because they want to heal something through you. Sometimes both. And this is why love can feel overwhelming. Why it can feel spiritual. Why it can feel like being chosen, or needed, or worshipped. It's also why it can feel suffocating, manipulative, consuming. Because falling in love is often less about the other person, and more about the sacred internal transformation they represent. But here's the deeper question. Which kind of love have you been attracting? And which kind have you been giving? Because whether you realize it or not, your energy tells a story people read before you ever open your mouth. So now you know, people fall in love with you, For only two reasons: to become something through you, or to heal something through you. But the real question, the one that quietly shapes your entire emotional life, is this. What do you fall in love with? Do you fall in love with potential, with possibility, with someone's brokenness, because it resembles your own? Or do you fall in love with someone who awakens your higher self, without asking you to sacrifice your sanity? Most people never ask themselves this. They repeat the same cycles. They call it fate. They call it their type. But it's just their unconscious choosing for them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And the same is true for love. Your relationships become dyed with the color of your wounds, your desires, your expectations, your hidden stories. So pause, look inward, not at the person you want, but at the person you become when you want them. Do you rise, or do you shrink? Do you feel free, or do you feel needed? Do you evolve, or do you disappear? Because in the end, love is not about what they see in you, or what they try to heal through you. Love is about how deeply you understand your own emotional architecture, your boundaries, your patterns, your projections, your shadows. People will fall in love with you for their reasons, but you must choose someone for yours. Love them, not because they reflect your potential, not because they recreate your wounds, but because they meet you where you truly are, and walk with you toward who you are becoming. And if you ever forget this truth, return to yourself. Return to your breath. Return to your emotional center. Because real love doesn't pull you away from your soul. It brings you back to it. If this message stirred something in you, if it made you reflect, pause, or finally see your patterns with new eyes, don't leave that clarity behind. Take a moment. Protect it. Use it, and if you want more content that goes deeper into self-awareness, psychology, and the unseen forces shaping your emotional life, subscribe to the channel. Your growth isn't an accident. Your awakening isn't random. You're here for a reason. In this moment, hearing these words. So stay with the journey. Stay with the work. And stay with the version of yourself that refuses to go back to sleep. Subscribe, like, and share this with someone who needs it. You never know whose life you might shift with a single message.